Well, my name is Kaddik. I'm the director of the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom for Southeast Europe. The Naumann Foundation is a German liberal foundation that promotes rule of law, personal freedom and market economy in over 60 countries worldwide. For me, in Southeast Europe, that is Romania, Moldova, Macedonia and Bulgaria, is the topic of education about individual responsibility, meaning entrepreneurship and economic independence, anti-corruption and transparency, and last but not least, media freedom, which we mostly work on. And for this, we, for instance, have a big video contest against corruption with over 1.5 million contacts last year, or the Black Book of Government Waste in Bulgaria, which we now also have as an EU edition of the money that has been wasted that came from the EU in Bulgaria. Well, we have, of course, the issue of migration that is still unclear, the issue of border protection that is very closely connected to that, and the fact that the European Union and the member states still have not found a way to properly protect the outside borders of the European Union and to deal with the issues of migration and trafficking. But the underlying issue, except for instance the issue of rule of law, the underlying issue is the question, where do we want to go with Europe? Because that is a question that nobody can still answer. And as long as we don't know where we want to go with Europe, it is very hard to shape Europe. Also, Mr. Juncker has been admitting that Europe has been mostly working ad hoc because there has not been a proper way in which to go. So we need to be clear about, do we want a federation? Do we want a confederation? Do we want a trans-European state? What do we want? And only if we can answer that question jointly, then we also can shape the policies for a stronger Europe, and a Europe that actually drives into one direction. Otherwise, it will be working ad hoc, and it will be rather alienating its members than working on an ever closer union. And in my understanding, that is a European Union that works jointly on the big issues like border protection, like defense, foreign policy, but is very subsidiarity oriented in other areas like taxation, and economic freedoms. There need to be three things. Number one, you cannot change policies unless you do politics. That means you need to influence the political process. That is something that think tanks have not done enough in the past. Number two, they need to collaborate stronger in Europe. There are nice meetings like this, but we need to find more common ground and more common projects to work on. And therefore I think the European Resource Bank is a fantastic initiative to bring us together and to talk about common projects. The only thing we need to do from here is to actually implement them. And there I'm also at the third stage. We need to come out of the ivory tower. We need to be do tanks and not only think tanks. And that means translating what we do. Not only talking to ourselves, but talking to the citizens, because in the end of the day, they make the voting decision. They need to be mobilized. And I think we have enough material to mobilize people on. We only have not found the right mechanisms and the right language to mobilize people with. So therefore, my last point here is indeed changing the language and going there where it hurts. Getting out of the ivory tower, getting off the white gloves, and putting on the working gloves.